Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, out there in internet land. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to the Thursday Night Newsroom. A little thing that we do on social media where we get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, and we try and get through this crazy thing that we call life. And after what happened yesterday, to call it a crazy thing is probably putting it as kindly as I possibly can. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. Sometimes I'm referred to as the fine fella in the fedora. Sometimes I'm called the kid in the lid, the cat in the hat, any number of different things. But in this moment, I am your host. We're on Rumble. We're on Twitter. We're on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So I want to thank you guys tonight. I'm starting off in probably a bit more somber tone than I'm normally used to doing. I like to come on my live streams with ebullience and bubbliness and trying to bring good cheer, but I'm not going to lie to you. The subject matter that we're going to get into this evening is kind of dark. Yeah, Ruben, I don't blame you a bit, brother. I do not blame you a bit. Everybody right now has got a reaction, and it's along those lines, among many other. But glad to have you here, sir. Glad to have you. We've got quite a few things to go over this evening, and I've tried to put together as many different clips, information as we possibly can. This live stream, I guess, in one sense, is going to be a little bit different in that, I mean, we're going to be bringing the news. We're going to bring what information that we've got. But it's not just a matter of giving information. And by the way, if things break while we're on this live stream and you can shoot it to me in a tweet, do it. We'll put it up. I'm going to try and bring you everything I've got as far as what I found out so far regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And let's be honest, that is exactly what this is. This is an assassination. This is not a random act. No, this was an assassination. This was deliberate with malice aforethought. The only thing we got to figure out now is who did it. So we're going to bring you all the information that we've got. We're going to bring you everything from the solid to the speculative. We're going to get into some reactions. And by the way, in case anyone is wondering, I'll just go ahead and dispel it right now. Most of the mashed potato for brains, Gen Z, millennials out there, the blue-haired, septum-pierced, banana-brained morons, I'm not even going to give you guys the time of day. You've gone to all the trouble to post those TikToks and tweets and videos and everything you've done. Congratulations. You did it for nothing as far as I'm concerned. I'm not even going to give you the time of day. I am, however, going to talk about your masters. I'm going to talk about the Democrat politicians who've been stoking your fires to make you act as stupidly as you are. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what Charlie Kirk meant. We're going to talk about where we go from here, the conservative movement. There's been all kinds of reactions over the past now 24 hours or longer. Some of it is understandable. Just like Ruben, Ruben expresses it with lividness, and I don't blame him. I'm just shocked to the point of numb. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel you. Oh yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, we got a lot to dive into tonight, and we're going to and the normal crowd of folks that bring me the memes, we're going to forego the memes tonight. There's going to be a time to laugh. There's going to be a time under heaven to do all things, but tonight just doesn't feel right. And I want to thank everybody in the memeing community who normally provides material for this live stream. We're going to hold, they've agreed mutually with me. We're going to hold off on that. So, all right, let's see who all is here. Let us see who is in the house. Z Highness. Hey, darling. Glad to have you here. I hacked into like 4 or 5 ounces of ice. Honey, you do you. You do what you need to do right now. If it's eating ice cream or crying or whatever, I get it. Ain't nobody gonna judge. Lana is here tonight. Hello, darling. Heartbroken, but glad yes, absolutely. That's one of the things we're going to do. Look, I didn't know Charlie Kirk beyond his name and his organization. It's not like he and I were social media buddies or, he'd been on my live stream or vice versa. But this, my God, this hits home on so many levels for me. And I'll get into that momentarily. Let's see who else is here. Gypsy, I'm glad you're here, darling. I saw the stuff you shot at me. We're going to talk about it as much as I possibly can. Amen to this. Amen to this. And yes, sir, I saw you went after him. Well deserved, brother. Yes, absolutely. There's no judgments. There's no judgments at all. Let's see who's on the Rumble side. WWG1 is in the house, was thinking the same thing. We'll hold off on the memes till Saturday. Thank you, sir. And I am feeling better. TBA says, I'm here. Prayers for the Kirk family and all of us since they tried to kill free speech yesterday. TBA also goes on to say, there's a lot of Gen Zers who suddenly discovered they are on the wrong side of history and are shunning the Democratic Party. It's funny you say that, TBA, because we're going to get into that too. WV Patriot USA. Hey, Brian, I'm listening with my mom in Alabama. Well, welcome in, WV Patriot. We're glad to have you here. And tell your mama down in Alabama, we all said, hey, y'all. So good to have you listening in from the deep South. Yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff tonight. And let's just dive right into what we've got. Here's what we know so far. I'm going to lay a schematic out here. Now, this schematic is not necessarily something that the FBI put out yesterday, but it gives you an idea of what the line of sight on this would have been. The red box down here is the area where Charlie Kirk had his canopy set up. For the shooter to have a clear line of sight, because you'll notice this building right over here, this big white building, for the shooter to have a clear line of sight, from an elevated position, you're talking about being right about here. And there are videos of an individual running across the top of this rooftop. I don't have it pulled up, but you guys have probably found them if you've been out on Twitter or social media and other places. Okay. You're talking about a shot. It's been estimated maybe 200 yards. Okay. So you're talking a good scope and probably a 30-06 rifle. But this is what it would have looked like. Okay. This is Utah State University. I forget the exact name of the place. But yeah, this is what it would have looked like. From here, straight to the canopy to Charlie Kirk. So that's what we know as far as how that went down. Okay. Beyond that, you sent me a DM. We'll check that out momentarily. Thank you, brother. Yeah, like I say, tonight, if you've got any updated information, confirmed updated information, okay, as you can see, my Twitter handle is down here at the Front Porch C1. If you've got confirmed information from justthenews.com, any reputable news source, and it's updated information we don't already have, we'll put it out here, okay? And like I said, we're going to go from the confirmed to the speculative, all right? And we're going to have some commentary on a lot of stuff, okay? And yeah, you're going to get my unvarnished opinion, and some of it is probably things you never heard me say before, because after what happened yesterday, I mean, we've all heard the expression, we have crossed the Rubicon. We have indeed crossed the Rubicon, and I don't think there's any going back now. I really don't think there's any going back. WV Patriot over on Rumble says they are saying the shooter wasn't experienced and they were aiming for the chest, failed to accommodate for the variables, in other words, the wind. I have heard that, and thank you for that. what I have heard is that, according to reports, and I think it was John Solomon at justthenews.com, the shooter was going for dead center mass. And as WV Patriot points out, he didn't account for the wind. He didn't account for whatever factor. From what forensics people are saying, the bullet hit because Charlie was wearing a vest. He was wearing a bulletproof vest. He had a security team of his own there, and he was also wearing a bulletproof vest. According to reports, the bullet hit part of the vest. Nick went up, hit his neck, and it cut the carotid. And that's why if you've seen the video, and we're not going to play it out of respect to Charlie's family and also for this audience. I mean, I know we've got a bunch of grown-up adults here, but it is extraordinarily graphic if you've seen the enhanced close-up video. So we're going to forego that. But from what I understand, the bullet hit the vest and went up, hit Charlie's neck, hit the carotid, and that's what caused the bleed out as fast as it went. Christian Watson is in the house. Brother, I am glad you are here tonight. I know we're going to be talking here in about a week on your live stream, but your perspective now is always appreciated. Always appreciated. And WV Patriot, if meet Lana, a YouTuber who is experienced in firearms, has said this was not a highly skilled shooter. Okay. Ruben says, yes, the bullet bounced. I saw the video. Horrific in 4K. Ooh, Lord. Yeah. Neck was the exit wound. Ooh, Jesus. Sweet Lord. Kawan, good to have you here, sir. I assume everything's either speculative or BS at this point. Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to lay out as much information as I've got. Like I said, some of it's going to go from it's going to range anywhere from write it in stone, it's hard and fast confirmed. It's also going to go to the speculative and everywhere in between. Because look, we're all adults here. We don't know what's happened yet. There are all kinds of theories floating right now. But let's flesh it out. Let's talk about it. This conversation tonight. People have been wondering, what do we do to pay tribute to Charlie Kirk? I'll tell you exactly what we do. We have a conversation tonight. We have a conversation engaged in free speech, respect for each other, love for each other. We disagree with passion, but we do so disagreeably. You want to know how to honor Charlie Kirk? That's one way to do it. Anyway, so what else have we got by way of information? Well, let me pull up some more things that I found, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen them too. We have a former FBI agent, Stuart Kaplan, appeared last night on Jesse Waters' show. And this clip's going to run a little bit long, but, I mean, you want some perspective on what the shooter was or wasn't? Well, hang on. Here is Mr. Stuart Kaplan, formerly of the FBI. Here's his take on the whole thing. As always, give me a sound check. Let me know if the sound is good.
I think this assassination, different than the assassinated attempt back in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a very well planned, very well orchestrated plot that was put in motion days before. And this individual had a plan of escape to elude detection of being up on a rooftop, and also being able to evade and elude law enforcement after that shot was taken. When you take a look at what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, Crooks came on to the venue. He left the venue. He came back. He was questioned. I mean, it was really an amateur scenario. This assassination of Charlie Kirk, to me, is indicative of a professional hit. And I'm not so sure that we are going to quickly be able to apprehend this individual without some luck, hopefully.
When you say professional hit, what do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean one shot, one kill, escape already planned and at large? It looks clean, yes, but could this be done by anybody with any sort of basic training?
Well, when you take a look at the video and you take a look at the venue and the spectators and how close they are to Charlie Kirk, and then you have that kind of like umbrella over him, that kind of tent, you have to know that this shooter had to be perched in a position with respect to being able to lay his sights perfectly, basically a headshot. And the shot that was taken to immediately incapacitate Charlie Kirk. And so this was not some amateur who just, got up on a rooftop because it was, what I consider spontaneous combustion. He got up this morning and decided he was going to do something crazy. This seems the earmark of a professional that got up onto this rooftop well in advance of the venue being occupied by the spectators. He was clearly undetected. There was no indication that anybody saw him up on this rooftop. Obviously, after that one single shot was taken, he was able to basically very quietly and systematically elude any further detection and escape. There's been no indication that there's been a vehicle identified or any mode of how he actually escaped the venue. And so to me, this is someone who had some experience, some level of sophistication to have mapped out exactly how this was going to go down.
Okay, that is the opinion of Stuart Kaplan, former FBI special agent. Just a couple of thoughts on that. I will say this, and this is just my commentary. Again, I don't have experience in these matters, but you know what? I'm just giving you my thoughts on the whole thing. I can see in one sense where Kaplan's coming from. Whoever did this thought this thing out. They had a really good idea of what they wanted to do and how they wanted to do it, which sort of begs an interesting question. How much advanced knowledge did the shooter have of the logistics of where Charlie Kirk and his staff would set up that canopy? How did he know that? How would he have known that? I mean, and again, we're all asking questions. I think that's a fair one. How did he know where the canopy was going to be? Now, Kaplan seems to think, oh, this is somebody who's experienced, he's professional. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but most certainly there was a lot of thought put into how I get in and how I get out, because as it stands right now, this suspect, whoever it is not in apprehension of the FBI. FBI or any law enforcement does not have their mitts on him. Lana with a super chat, thank you very much. If they thought this would shut us up, well, they ticked off the wrong man. Milo Yiannopoulos says he's unretiring himself. I saw that. And that's going to get to something else. This gets to something else. We'll see, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, there's a lot of people starting to come together. WV Patriot USA says, Charlie's passing has made many open their eyes. He is a saint and a martyr. Goes on to say, I disagree. This was a professional. A professional would have aimed and not relied on bullet bouncing off vest. It was premeditated, no doubt, but not a professional shooter. Okay. All right. Thank you for that perspective. Appreciate that. Like I say, nobody knows of a complete absolute certainty what went down, who did this, exactly how. So at this point, everything's fair game and on the table. I mean, you could be absolutely right. Not a professional shooter, but definitely somebody who knew how to handle a firearm. I totally agree with that. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Salty Old Fart is in the Rumble chat. Gents, allegedly there is a warrant for the shooter in effect. Okay, all right. Do we have an autopsy? Not that I am aware of. I know that out of respect to Charlie's family, and I did see this evening, Vice President Vance was going out to Utah personally on Air Force Two, and it is being reported that Air Force Two will be carrying Charlie Kirk's body back to Arizona, which was his state of residence. So, but as far as an autopsy, I am not aware of one yet. No, I'm not aware of one. Gypsy says it was more than one person. That's being speculated by a lot of people, by the way. A lot of people are saying this person had an accomplice or accomplices. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. All right, what else have we got? What else have we got? While FBI or law enforcement does not have the person in custody, they think they've got an idea of who it is. I've got something here from the Gateway Pundit. Let me pop this up on screen. Law enforcement has identified the name of the suspect in Charlie Kirk assassination, but have not released it yet. For Christina Layla, we have the following. Law enforcement has identified the name of a suspect in the hunt for Charlie Kirk's assassin. No arrest warrant has been issued at this time. Quote, federal law enforcement believes it has identified the name of a person of interest, according to 2 U.S. officials and a law enforcement source. So far, however, no arrest warrant has been issued. Now, who was it that said that a warrant is now out? Did I see that correctly? Hang on. Da 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 da. Oh, a salty old fart over on Rumble. Allegedly, there is a warrant for the shooter in effect. Okay, if that's the case, and I'm not saying you're wrong, Salty. At the time of the writing of this article, which was, let me pop it up here, about 4:50 Eastern, it was being reported that no warrant is in effect yet. So we'll see. TBA says, we don't even have a body. I heard he was being flown to D.C. so he can lay in the Capitol Rotunda. Now, that I have not heard. What I heard was that Air Force Two was flying from Utah back to Arizona to deliver Charlie's remains to his family. That's what I understand at this point. So, hang on. Salty just popped in something on the Rumble side. Let me check this out. Give me 1 second, folks. He may have some updated information here. So, like I say, this live stream tonight is, like I said, if somebody's got updated information, that's confirmed or pieces of news, let's hear it. Because we want to share as much as we can with everybody here. So give me 1 second. Salty over there on the Rumble side just dropped something in. So give me 1 second here, folks. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. Oh my. Oh wow. Hang on. Oh my goodness. Folks. You're going to want to see this. That's Vice President Vance. That footage, as I understand it, is at the airport in Utah. Salty, thank you for dropping that in. I had not seen that yet, but yeah, that's where we are. I want to go back to that article from the Gateway Pundit. Earlier Thursday, FBI photos of a person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk were released, and there is a bounty of $100,000 for any information leading to the identification and arrest of the assassin. So there you go, folks. There you go. Salty says it was that video was just 1 minute old when I found it. Salty, thank you very much. Yeah, you know, Kawan, you got a very valid point. I understand. Yeah, unless they've done the autopsy already in Utah and they just haven't released the results yet, which is altogether possible. Altogether possible. It may very well be they've done the autopsy. So we'll see. Yeah. Okay. Legitimate question. Totally legitimate. I get it. All right. What else do we have in the way of information to share with you guys? Let's see. One moment. Now, who did this? What was the motivation? What do we know at this point? Well, Steven Crowder threw something of a bomb into the middle of all this early this morning on his live stream, Louder with Crowder, which you can find on Rumble. And I will share this with you. Give me 1 second. I'll pop this up. This is from Steven Crowder's Twitter account. This morning, my team received an email from an officer at the ATF. The email included a screenshot from what appears to be an internal message describing a weapon and cartridges located by an ATF and other law enforcement near the scene of the Charlie Kirk shooting at Utah Valley State University. Quote, on September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:24 p.m., conservative political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at the Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Mr. Kirk was speaking at the university as part of the American Comeback Tour. Multiple SLC and agents responded immediately. The suspect fired one shot from an elevated position on a rooftop in an adjacent building on the campus, and surveillance video shows the suspect jumping off and fleeing the area on foot. ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. The location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route of travel. The spent cartridge was still chambered in addition to 3 unspent rounds at the top-fed magazine. All cartridges have now listen to this. All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. An emergency trace has been submitted, and ATF SLC is working leads generated by the trace. The firearm and ammunition have been taken by the FBI for DNA analysis and fingerprint impressions. Upon completion of forensics, the firearm will be disassembled for additional importer information. Multiple people of interest have contacted or detained because of eyewitness testimony and review of video footage. The primary suspect is yet to be identified. The ATF is assisting the investigation with multiple other federal, state, and local partners, and the case is co-led by the FBI and the Utah SBI. Okay. So again, take it for what it's worth. This is what Steven Crowder and his team got a hold of this morning. So maybe it was someone associated with the transgender movement. Who knows? Okay. SLC is Salt Lake City. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So yeah, there's that. Now, what else have we got? At least by way of news, confirmable or otherwise. Here's one that I had. For what it's worth, I'm just going to put it out here, okay? I'm not going to play the clip that goes along with this. However, If you want to watch the clip on your own, I will drop this in the Rumble and YouTube chats. There it is on the Rumble side. And give me 1 second in case you guys have not seen this tweet. All right, there it is on the YouTube side. Yeah, and that's interesting that you bring this up. Other people have mentioned the exact same thing. At the moment that Charlie was shot, he was talking about the transgender issue. As a matter of fact, I think the question that was put to him was, how many mass shootings have been done by transgender in this country, or how many mass shootings in general? Charlie was answering that when the fatal shot came in. So, again, let me read for you guys the contents of this tweet. And again, take it for what it's worth. I think we have found the smoking gun. Very suspicious flight activity seen before and after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They tried to wipe flight data. Person identifies a private jet with FAA tail number, white liveried aircraft owned by and I'll let you read that on your own. About a 10 to 12 minute drive from UVU. Roughly 1 hour after the shooting, around 7:12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on September 10th. The flight track data from ADBS Exchange and similar platforms show the following anomalous path. Jet took off towards southeast toward Arizona-Nevada border, consistent with domestic flight at cruise speeds 475 knots. At approximately 30 to 46 minutes into the flight, the aircraft's ADS-B transponder was disabled, causing it to, quote, go dark or vanish from public radar. During this blackout, the jet could have covered 350 to 400 nautical miles, enough distance for a quick drop-off at a remote airstrip, or even Tuba City before looping back. The jet reemerged on radar about an hour later, now reversing course and heading back to PVU, where it landed without incident. The person suggests it allowed for covert rendezvous or drop-off, calculating distance. One person here is speculating maybe this was the plane that carried the assassin. Who knows? Again, I dropped the link to it in YouTube and Rumble. Take a look at it on your own time. I mean, there is so much in the way of just basic weirdness going on with this. It is, I mean, beyond the horror of what happened. I mean, I got something else here, and I think it was Gypsy who pointed this one out to me. Who pointed this one out. Well, hang on a second. WWG10 over on Rumble says, if you're flying IFR, you can request to go VFR, but you don't turn the transponder off. You change it to a different frequency. I am a pilot. Oh, okay. So let me ask you this. If they turned off their transponder, which gives, the flight towers an idea of where the person is at, is there a legitimate reason why a pilot would do that? Why would a pilot turn off their transponder? Is there any legitimate circumstance that would be allowable as a pilot for something like that to happen? I mean, again, I'm not a pilot. I don't know. I found this piece of information. I'm just putting it out there, just very curious what that might be. But if you got an answer on that one, let me know. Okay, what else have we got? And like I say, when I say there's all kinds of just strange with this story, here's one. Okay, hang on. WWG1 says, only planes who don't have a transponder generally don't fly with one. If you have one, you must use it. Okay, well, then that sort of begs the question, why would this jet turn off its transponder? And maybe it's totally unrelated. Who knows? But hard to say. Then we got something from Uncle Alex. And you knew Alex Jones was going to be talking about this thing. What? No, before I even show that, here's another talking about things weird. What about the guy in the baseball cap behind Charlie signaling with baseball? I saw that as well. That was weird. If you're wondering what Gypsy's referring to, there's a video shortly before the fatal shot takes place where there's a gentleman, I guess would be off to Charlie's, it would be Charlie's right. It'd be stage left. And he's giving all these weird kind of arm signals, almost like a third base coach, passing signals on to a runner on first base. It was weird to watch. Very strange. But yeah, thank you. And thank you for pointing that out. Uncle Alex has got some information, and this gets into the realm of the really weird. Folks, this runs too long, but I'll play a little bit of this for you. Listen to this.
Now, Grok confirmed this. I went and looked it up and confirmed it. I saw this last night, and I wanted to wait and check. And a whole bunch of corporate publications, a full day before Charlie was shot, put out articles saying Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. But just the headline. And the people there were chanting, and we have the audio. You hear the crowd, the noise. And there's all the witnesses they were saying. It's kind of like, it's like the crazy man that stabbed the Ukrainian girl in the throat. You got to listen real carefully. But he says twice, I got that white girl. But he's in a train, so you have to really listen carefully. But you can hear it in there. I don't know if it'll translate over AM radio out there. Probably will on FM, but it's all over. Actually, you want to see it. And the cheering, yeah. Once it happens, yeah, they're looking, yeah, yeah. And so I've got all the postings in the town by leftists and trans people that, hey, he's getting liquidated tomorrow. He's getting dissolved tomorrow. Something big's gonna happen. He's gonna go bye-bye. And then there's this, and I'll play that to show you this stuff in a moment. But look at this. Let's put this on screen from Amazon. Put the full screen up, please. The shooting of Charlie Kirk. Yeah, blow that up. Why does Amazon have the shooting of Charlie Kirk by Anastasia J. Casey posted one day before he was murdered? And then they updated it, and it's on the Internet Archive. That's been checked. It happened a day, September 9th. So it was already out there, and then they updated it today. Publication date, September 9th. The FBI needs to be knocking down some doors over there.
Those hurt.
I don't disagree with him. And again, maybe it was a purely innocent mistake. But that sort of begs the question, why? I mean, first of all, the event hadn't even happened yet. And somehow somebody's got some kind of a mini book or some whatever put together over this? That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Dear Lord. I mean, what is this? That's just bizarre. And again, like I said, we're as far as information, we're going from the speculative to the absolutely confirmed and anywhere in between. Because I think Gypsy, who was it? Was it Gypsy? Yeah, I think Gypsy's absolutely right. When she said, we're not being told the truth, no point in well, yeah. We're not, who knows what we're being told at this point? Who knows? So as far as news and information at this point, that's what I got. Let me check one other source. Hang on, we might have something here. Let's see. Hang on, folks. I'm running through the feed on CNN just to see if there's anything else. I know CNN of all places, but you got to go sometimes with what you got. Okay. Now I think that pretty well covers it. Now, as I said at the very beginning of this live stream, for all of you mashed potato brained weirdos out there who went out on TikTok, Twitter, Kick, Rumble, wherever you went, and posted your videos celebrating the assassination of this man, who, by the way, let me remind you, blue-haired weirdos, this man was more than a political commentator. He was a husband to a wife, a father to 2 children. He was a friend to many. He was a brother in arms. He was a man of compassion. You're celebrating the loss of basic, decent goodness that just happened to walk around on 2 legs. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was perfect. Far from it. No one is. But for all you mashed potato brain weirdos out there, you just think, assuming you have enough brain cells left in your head to actually contemplate it, think on that for a minute. So I said at the very beginning, you mashed potato brain weirdos are not going to get the satisfaction of me playing any of your responses. Your political masters, on the other hand, we're going to talk about that. But there are some decent, basic, good things happening. Or let me put it this way. There are individuals who are stepping up in their own way to try to offer some measure of kindness and compassion in the midst of all this. I got a story here, and I heard about this the other day. There is a football player in the NFL. His name is Justin Jefferson. He's a wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. And when he heard about what happened, Justin Jefferson has pledged to pay all living and educational expenses for Charlie Kirk's 2 children. Does it bring Charlie Kirk back? Obviously not. Is it probably one of the most decent things I've heard of being offered up to be done by anybody at this point? Yeah, you better believe it. You better believe it. You had people all across the country in their own way and in their own faith coming together. I share with you the campus of Liberty University. Amazing Grace. I'll take the speaker out of this. I know Amazing Grace is a general hymn that shouldn't get me in trouble with YouTube, but then again, you never know. Thousands on thousands of students on the campus of Liberty University got together, prayed for Charlie, for his family, for his friends. Again, does it undo the horror of what happened? Absolutely not. But it's moments like this that in the midst of the madness that we saw yesterday, that kind of remind you there are some pockets of light in the world. And every so often, you need to look to them. Just thought I'd share that one with you. Now, I said a minute ago, I would not give the mashed potato brained, blue-haired idiots the satisfaction of putting their responses up on my live stream. You can go anywhere and find it. I mean, you talk about stuff straight out of the sewer, okay? And I mean, we're talking from all, and not necessarily confined to the mashed potato, blue-haired brain crowd. We're talking about some people on mainstream media. I mean, Matthew Dowd lost his gig with MSNBC yesterday based on what he said, which I wish now I'd pulled up the clip. Because, wow, talk about coming out of the gates firing. Matthew Dowd didn't even wait for the body to get cold before he started in. So the comments are bad enough. So I'm not necessarily focusing on, as Rush Limbaugh used to call them, the skulls full of mush. Okay. I'm not necessarily focusing on that. I am, however, I've got more than a few things to say with regard uh with regard to their political masters. One last piece of goodness or light that came out of all this. Let me pop this up here for you. Give me 1 second. Thought you guys might want to hear this. Check this out.
My high school kids talked about Charlie Kirk all morning. Positive conversations about Charlie Kirk all morning. They're impacted. They're mad. But passionate, compassion all morning. These kids are smart. These kids are smart. He touched them. They knew who he was. He made an impact on their lives. They talked about his debates. They talked about his topics. Smart kids. This impacted them. These high school kids, they know. They know.
And that's one other thing we're going to get into toward the end of the live stream is what is the impact of Charlie Kirk? I mean, the young man died at 31 years old. But I could make a real good argument, and I don't think I'd be too far off base saying it. Charlie Kirk did more in 31 years than a lot of people do with twice his time on Earth. Let me get real personal here for a second, if you guys don't mind. Like I said at the very beginning of this live stream, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I knew of him. I'd seen him on his show on Real America's Voice Network. I'd seen him in various appearances on Fox, posts on social media, which, by the way, that man was a social media genius. My goodness, what he and Turning Point USA could do with social media was extraordinary. Just extraordinary. So it's not like Charlie ever came on my live stream or I ever went on his. I mean, heck, he's operating up in a rarefied air that, guys like me maybe hope someday to get to. Who knows? But Charlie was like a brother in arms. I mean, look, I sit here behind a microphone and my camera, a couple or 3 times a week, and I make comments and try and help you guys laugh, and you guys help me laugh, and we all try to get through this thing. Charlie was doing the same thing on a much, 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 much bigger scale. And he was doing it with class and decency and respect and love. And to watch this young man be snuffed out long before his time, it's just heartbreaking. I've watched over the past 24 hours so many people who knew Charlie. Megyn Kelly, Glenn Beck, Patrick Bet-David, and others. Laura Ingraham. And the tears they have shed are not tears for a fellow broadcaster or, a fellow political brother in arms or whatever. They're shedding tears over the loss of a friend. There are a lot of stories about Charlie Kirk, the things that he has done that are just now starting to come out. They never came out while he was alive. Little, decent, kind acts of charity that he would do for people. Now, if somebody wants to disagree with Charlie's politics, that's perfectly fine. I expect that. Crap, I expect people on the political right to disagree with Charlie on some things. But you can't deny his humanity. And what was he doing when he got shot? He was engaging with young people in political discourse without hate, without vitriol, without anger, with passion, with firm resolution in his beliefs. But that's exactly what Charlie was doing. Charlie Kirk was a happy warrior. Salty old fart over on Rumble says seeing Trump get shot was disheartening. Watching Charlie Kirk get assassinated live, well, brother, yeah. TBA says Charlie was this generation's JFK. It's funny you say that. I'll disagree with you ever so slightly. I'll make an argument. Charlie Kirk was this generation's Robert Kennedy Sr., or maybe even Martin Luther King Jr. Now, I know that, some lefty is going to hear that and go, oh my God, I can't believe you're comparing that no good Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King Jr. Explain to me the difference. Please explain to me the difference. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But yeah, TBA, I agree wholeheartedly with the sentiment. Maybe not the person, but the sentiment, absolutely. Gypsy says, I've watched many podcasters since the event, and they are terrified of going out in public. Charlie was one of a kind to do what he did to go into the lion's den. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Salty old fart says, the loony left and liberals will never understand that they didn't just open Pandora's box. They threw everything out of it and threw the box on fire. Oh, you are so right, my friend. So right indeed. So I said that I wouldn't, give the mashed potato brains the satisfaction. Their political masters, on the other hand, oh, we're going to get into that. Yesterday on the floor of the U.S. House, upon hearing of the passing of Charlie Kirk, Speaker Mike Johnson goes to the chair and asks for a moment of silence. I want you to listen to what happens next.
The chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
So far, so good, right? Just wait.
What purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise?
And here we go.
Let's wait a minute. Wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order.
Yeah, if you can't hear part of that exchange, the Democrats are basically saying, well, why should we give thoughts and prayers? And Anna Paulina Luna of Florida is like, you effing own this. And she's not wrong. Now, you might be, there was no sound. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. We'll forego that clip. Salty old fart says, Brian, the same thing happened at the European Parliament. Same demonic shite about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Okay, it did come through. Oh, but that wasn't all that happened yesterday. I mean, folks, we have got a slew of stuff. An absolute slew of stuff. And you know what? It needs to be commented on. Truly. Nicole Wallace. Oh, God. Nicole Wallace of MSNBC had probably one of the dumbest takes that I think I ever heard the whole day yesterday. You've got to hear this. Folks, check this out.
The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans. Only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
Whoa, Nicole, wait a minute. I want to play that again. Folks, you need to hear this. You need to hear this. Hang on, folks. Let me see what I can do. Trying to get the sound increased. One moment, please. I want you to hear that quote again. And like I say, I will do what I can here to get the sound jacked up on this. Give me 1 second, folks. That might be part of it. One moment. Okay, I think that might help a little bit. Okay. All right, let's see if that helps. Volume. Okay. All right. Let's try that again. I want you to listen very carefully to what Nicole Wallace, one of the brilliant minds over at MSNBC, had to say. Listen to this.
The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans.
Really? Democrats don't think it's a good idea to engage in political violence. Really? Funny thing about that, Nicole, all the political violence is coming from the Democrat side of the aisle. But okay, let's listen to what else this dingbat has to say.
Only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
Only conduct is on one of the two sides. Yeah, well, that's true. Oh yeah, honey. Yeah, honey. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. You heard her. You heard her right. Hey, Cajun Corey, welcome in, my brother. Good to have you here. And it gets better. It gets better, folks. If you think that Nicole Wallace is the top of the heap, get ready. Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts. Now, you would think that as a responsible leader, that Elizabeth Warren, like everyone else in Congress, would be trying to find a way to tap it down, okay? Someone has just gotten shot and killed, okay? So, Elizabeth Warren, a.k.a. Senator Hiawatha, is confronted by some reporters outside of Capitol Hill. Now, I want you to listen to what she says here, okay? Just listen very carefully to this. If you're wondering if maybe the Democrat politicians in Washington, D.C. are going to, dial it back a little bit and try to help, in a bipartisan sort of way, rein in this violence that is coming from their people, think again.
Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word. Oh, please. Right. Why don't you start with the President of the United States? Right? And every ugly meme he has posted and every ugly word.
Okay. All right. Okay, Hiawatha. You want to start with somebody? All right, let's start with the president. Let's start with Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump have to say in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk and his assassination? Yeah, hang on. Let's talk about it. So he gets asked this morning on his way to Marine One and an event related to 9/11. He gets asked a very simple question. Check this out.
How do you want to see your supporters respond to this? Charlie Kirk was a big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond, sir?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond.
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, let's start with the president. And if you want a really good example of what Donald Trump was like, I want to take you back in time. And I think you guys know which clip I'm going to. I want to take you back to the 2020 campaign and listen to Donald Trump's reaction. Listen to Donald Trump's reaction upon hearing the news of the passing of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay? A woman that philosophically and on matters of the law, Donald Trump was the polar opposite of that woman. Just listen to his reaction upon hearing the news that one of his political opponents had passed away. Oops, hang on.
Yeah. She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that. Thank you very much.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. How many of you can think, I can think of one person on the political left, and it was Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. But aside from Cenk Uygur, can you guys name for me, either yesterday or today, one person on the political left who had the kind of reaction to the passing of Charlie Kirk in the same way that Donald Trump reacted to the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Just give me an example. Laying aside, and if you guys haven't seen the clip of Cenk Uygur, I'll show it to you here in just 1 minute. But laying aside Cenk Uygur's reaction, all right, okay, I'll give you that one. I will give you that one. Fetterman of Pennsylvania, I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. And you know, no one's heard from Bill Maher yet. And I'm not saying what I'm about to say next to be exploitive, Corey, but I will be very interested to hear Bill Maher's reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the reason why I say that, and I don't know if you guys remember this or not too long ago, Charlie Kirk was a guest on one of Bill Maher's shows. Not Real Talk. It was Club Med, I think is what it's called. It's a sit down conversation where, you know, Bill gets high and drunk while he has a guest on. No, I'm just kidding. Well, okay, not too much, but you get my idea. He had Charlie Kirk on, and talk about two opposites. That was Charlie and Bill, but they had a civil conversation. Yeah, that's true. May not agree with him. I had not heard about Nick Fuentes, but I'm not surprised. And don't get me wrong, I'm not endorsing Nick Fuentes in any way, shape, or form. But I'm not necessarily surprised by that. I'm really not. Talking about Fetterman, he's the only one I know of. He's gotten more sensible since his stroke. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I agree with that, actually. Totally. Well, that's true. He does. Yeah, that's true. Well, you're not wrong there, my dear. So yeah, I mean, if Elizabeth Warren wants to start with Donald Trump and his supposedly mean memes and mean statements, I can show you, Elizabeth. I can show you two examples right there where Donald Trump is a whole lot more decent than most folks on your side. Really, you want to play that game? Now, not to be outdone, by the way. Not to be outdone. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, gets asked about the passing of Charlie Kirk and what we should be doing in this country. Get ready, folks, because this one's going to blow your mind. Check this out.
Well, look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence.
Okay, so far so good. You're doing all right, Chuck. What else do you have to say?
Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions.
Wait. What do you mean so many different political persuasions? Last time I checked, Chucky baby, the only people being affected by this were people on the right. But okay, please continue to expound.
Is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
Whoa. Wait a minute. No, big boy. No. You're not getting off that easy. May I remind you, sir, that you were the man who stood in front of the United States Supreme Court and told Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh that they were going to sow to the wind and reap the whirlwind. May I remind you, sir, that crazed individuals tried to assassinate Kavanaugh. May I remind you, sir, that protesters were out in front of the houses of Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, Barrett, and your president, Joe Biden, did nothing to defend justices of the court, who by federal law, you're not even allowed to protest in front of their houses. May I remind you that Steve Scalise, the House Majority Leader, was shot at a baseball game by a leftist protester. No. Don't give me that. Now's not the time to point fingers. No, everybody knows exactly where to point the fingers, and it's at you and your ilk. It is your rhetoric that's getting in the heads of these crazed individuals. They are taking actions to kill people they don't agree with politically. Don't give me that. No, now's not the time to point. Oh no, we can definitely point fingers. Charlie Kirk got killed because somebody on your side didn't like his politics. Somebody on your side killed Charlie Kirk. Oh, you can't prove it was tied to Chuck Schumer. It's tied to every time he runs his mouth. Every time he says something to incite people. He, Raskin, Adam Schiff, Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters. I mean, how many examples do you want me to give? I do not want to hear anybody trying to make some kind of moral equivalency between violence against people on the political right versus the supposed violence that's happening to people on the political left. No. We're not buying that crap. No, we are. No. No. Absolutely not. Well, you're right about that. Yeah, here's a real good point. Aiden Kearney. Good point, my dear. So yeah, this one gets laid at the feet of Schumer and Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and everybody else in the Democrat Party who's offered up inflammatory language that some sick, twisted, feeble-minded people are taking, swallowing whole, not thinking about what it means, and they're going out and trying to kill people like Charlie Kirk. And not only did they try, they succeeded, tragically. Patty with a super chat. Thank you, my dear. Well, I will tell it. Like I say, you're going to hear me say some things tonight you may never expect me to hear or say. But thank you very much for that super chat. I genuinely appreciate it. Yep. Free Aiden Kearney. Free Turtle Boy. Absolutely. So, what is Charlie Kirk's impact? Or before we even get to that, I want to get some reaction from folks on the right. And some of these, you need to hear them and they need to be said. Scott Adams, who, by the way, I heard that he talked about this today. Charlie invited him on his show for an interview, and because of Scott's diagnosis with the cancer, he didn't think he had that long to live, so he never returned the phone call, and I bet you now he's regretting that one. But here's Scott Adams' take on the whole thing. Check this out.
And I'll tell you one thing that's changed is risk tolerance. When one of your own, and by the way, I take this very personally. I didn't know Charlie personally. My only fleeting connection was he once invited me on his podcast, and I thought I was going to be dead in a few weeks, so I didn't return his message. So I never talked to him. But it's still personal. This one's personal because I consider myself say a brother in arms, meaning that we were in the same war, in the same platoon. I just didn't know him personally. So the fact that he got taken out, oh, that's personal. That's personal. And so when that happens, my personal risk profile gets adjusted. When I say, oh, you mean there's a chance I'll be shot? All right, then Rico every one of these motherfuckers to the ground. I wouldn't have wanted to, destroy the country by going after the billionaires and really making it that overtly political. And it would be massive destruction. Now I'm all in. I'm all in for the massive destruction. Yep, it's risky. Let's do it because it's something we can do. It's not directly related to Charlie, but it changes my risk tolerance.
And folks, he's not the only one feeling this way right now. I don't think the left, no, and Ruben, I totally agree with you. We are all brothers in arms now. If the left, if let me phrase it this way. If whoever was behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk thought that this was going to silence a leading voice of conservatism, then I got bad news for you. You made an enormous miscalculation, whoever you are, or whoever yous are, if there's more of you, if there's more than one of you. If you thought this was going to silence people on the political right such that we're going to shut up, to borrow a line from that old Kiss song, you got another thing coming. When you radicalize somebody like a Scott Adams to the point it's like, burn them down. Rico these people into the next area code. Do it. Because Scott's got a very, very valid point. This does and does not stop with Charlie Kirk. Oh, it was Judas. It was Judas Priest. I stand corrected. Thank you very much. You got another thing coming, Judas Priest. My apologies to you folks out there who know your music better than I do. This doesn't stop with Charlie Kirk. Do not be shocked, and God forbid that it happen. But do not be shocked if we get news of another prominent conservative in media, particularly social media, that somebody takes a shot at him. Oh, they are ramping it up because the political right is doing nothing to stop them. Yeah. No, I think you're right. This is going to get ramped up. The left is going to ramp this up. And I think when I say we crossed the Rubicon, maybe, just maybe, a significant number of people on the political right are now starting to realize this is war. This is cultural war. This is no longer a Cold War. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Okay, give me 1 second here, folks. 1 second. Apparently, the body has arrived back in. Oh, wow. Hang on just a second, folks. Yeah, we've got footage here from Fox News. Give me one moment. I'll have this up on screen for you. Apparently, the body has arrived back in Arizona. Folks, you got to see this. Check this out.
And Tulsi, this is something we've seen. Casket is being unloaded from Air Force Two. There appears to be a motorcade, and we will watch this live. The crowd is gathering. These are his supporters. And Tulsi, this is something we've seen across the nation on college campuses. The people who have shown up, the text messages that I have gotten from people who are not conservative, who said, I discovered that my kids love Charlie Kirk. People who have turned out nationwide, and hear this crowd gathering to honor a man who changed the course of history, arguably. Tulsi, I think you would agree. He's responsible, very likely, for why you're sitting in this job, for President Trump being elected. He was a key player as we honor him tonight and look at these pictures.
Yeah, that's from Arizona. Just unbelievable. And I think that sounded like Kayleigh McEnany, but whoever it was makes a perfectly valid point. The impact that Charlie Kirk had on so many lives was just incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Anyway, getting back to some more conservative reaction. Here's Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. Now, I'm playing these in part for a reason, okay? Matt Walsh, Daily Wire. Somebody not maybe that everybody agrees with, but he's got a good take. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out.
Over the past 24 hours, I've seen some in the media, some of the very same people who intentionally stoked murderous hatred against people like Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk specifically, now saying that we need to turn down the temperature and start having conversations. Well, Charlie tried to have conversations with you on the left, and you killed him for it. You're killing us in our churches. You tried to kill our president. You killed one of our greatest advocates in Charlie Kirk. You have been openly cheering for and celebrating and encouraging and committing political violence for years. Antifa, BLM, well-funded, highly orchestrated, widespread movements based in and fueled by violence. You made a hero out of Luigi Mangione. And you celebrate Charlie's death even now. It's too late to turn the temperature down. This is not a time to hold hands. It's a time for justice. This is a time for good to fight back against evil. It is time for the righteous to prevail for the sake of our country and for our families and our children and for Charlie.
He's not wrong. Everything Matt Walsh said, I totally agree with. Yeah, I have seen this same thing. I only think, and it's interesting, I only think just now adults are realizing the impact that Charlie Kirk not only had made, but was making on young people across this country. Absolutely amazing. B Money is in the house over on the Rumble side. How you doing, B Money? Good to see you, sir. Got some more reaction here. I think this one is the one that kind of sums up what everybody's thinking. Megyn Kelly, who was a dear personal friend of Charlie's. I can't tell you the number of times Megyn Kelly had Charlie Kirk on her show. She was appearing today with Mark Halperin, and here is her reaction in part.
In the past, whatever it's been, 18 hours, I've had zero appetite to look at what they're saying about him. Like, I'm having a really difficult time caring. And that's unlike me. You know, usually on these stories, I definitely look at what the left is saying, and then I usually mock them on my show, and it's somewhat cathartic. But I'm just not there at all. I just feel like they can go fuck themselves. I couldn't give two shits about what they think of Charlie Kirk. They didn't know him. They don't understand any of us. And it's because of willful blindness. They choose to demonize rather than seek to understand. So fuck them. I just feel like we know who he was. We understand his legacy. We will live up to it. We will continue his mission. We will shove it down their throats with every show and column that we have, and we will do it relentlessly. If they think they've gotten less of Charlie Kirk, they're going to get more. I'm telling you, these are disciples of his on these college campuses who now are going to find the strength to rise up against the nonsense. And people like me, like you, like Ben Shapiro, all of us who have been in these trenches for quite some time only feel emboldened, not cowed, emboldened to say all of the things and say them even more forcefully, and to work on being even more compelling and even more energetic so we can say them in more places to more faces and persuade more millions over to our side. They've done exactly what they didn't want to do. And the one thing they haven't done is to silence Charlie's message, though they've succeeded in silencing him.
Beautifully put. Absolutely beautifully put. I want to play one more reaction from the right, and it's not necessarily someone you'd expect. As you guys know, I am a fan of Aaron Imholt. And if you don't know who that is, he is the host of a live stream known as the Steel Toe Morning Show. He's based out of Minnesota, and he would argue that he's probably like a down-the-middle conservative, if there is such a thing. But he had something to say the other day I thought was so wise in light of everything that's happened. And this one, give me a second to get this pulled up, because where do we go from here? What do we do next? Folks, I think it is time for the political right to come together in a way that we never had before. I don't mean just for one election. I don't mean just for one whatever. It is time for people to come together, and Aaron Imholt says this better than anybody else. With that, a little bit from last night's live stream, the Steel Toe Evening Show.
Because these aren't people who believe in creating anything. These are people who only believe in destroying things because they themselves don't know how to create. So where does it go from here? Shit. I'll tell you what the right needs to do. The right they need to unite with each other. They need to accept each other no matter what the differences is. I think they're being shot at. Trump, Charlie Kirk. This won't be the last one. They need to unite, and they need to realize that All right, Nick Fuentes says some wild shit, but he's just, he's just your crazy cousin who comes to Thanksgiving and spouts about the Jews. You don't have to hang around him all the time, but you have to acknowledge that he's in your family. Alex Jones is in your family. Owen Schroyer is in your family. Tim Pool he's in your family some days, unless he's going to catch shit for it. Then he's in another family. Tim, he's the guy who comes over to your house. He finds the fence post and he just sits his ass right on top of it. Glenn Beck is in your family. Yes, Mark Levin is in your family. Ben Shapiro, Dave Smith, they're in your family. You may not like each other, but you guys don't have anyone else to watch your six at this point. I don't believe that the far radical progressive left in this country wants to share a country with the right anymore. And I'm not talking about, Democrats. I'm not talking about, guys like Cenk Uygur. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks today.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. I don't know what uniting everybody on the political right looks like, but I honestly think M holds on to something here. And how it looks and how it manifests itself, I have no idea. Yeah. Like, who will step into Charlie's shoes? I say there isn't anyone. Not tomorrow, Yeah. Gypsy, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right, honey. I think you're absolutely right. I don't know. But I think it's time for folks on the political right who may not agree on a whole lot of issues. I think it's about time that they get together. What was Benjamin Franklin's saying during the Revolutionary War? We must all hang together, or most assuredly, we're all going to hang separately. Franklin was right then, and it's same wisdom now. It's time for the political right to get together. And believe me, there's a lot of disagreement, a lot of swallowing on stuff, but it's come to the point people are being killed for their political beliefs. It's not an abstract theory about what may happen if you speak out politically. It is real. It's no longer a possibility. It is real. Charlie Kirk died because of what he believed in politically. Charlie Kirk died for simply trying to do what the left says they want, for a conversation to be had, to be engaged in. No, that is not what the political left in this country wants. They want destruction. They want to tear it all down. And when I say the left, I'm talking about radicalism. I'm talking about Marxist communism. I'm talking Antifa. I'm talking these monsters that have been destroying cities and neighborhoods and towns. They don't care about the American experiment in democracy. They don't care about our institutions. They don't care about law and order. They don't care about the rule of law. They want to destroy it. And it's about time some people who under normal circumstances would never get in the same room together need to come together and say, I don't agree with you on much of anything, but they're not going to take down my country. Will you fight with me? Will you fight beside me? Because that's what it's going to take. People have been asking the question, will anyone replace him? No, they won't replace him. Because I don't think if someone even tried, they understand truly what the legacy of Charlie Kirk is. But somebody kind of summed it up really well. Alyssa Griffin, erstwhile sometimes political commentator, conservative commentator that is, was on CNN last night and had an absolutely brilliant assessment of Charlie Kirk. And again, this does not totally sum up the man. But God, does it say a lot. Folks, do me a favor and check this out.
Gen Z is going to be the most right-wing generation in 50 years. Statistically speaking, there was a huge turnout of youth voters for Donald Trump. That was unexpected, something that's usually a Democratic stronghold. There's probably no individual more responsible for that than Charlie Kirk. You really can't underestimate and downplay how influential he was in activating young people and how hand in hand he was working with the Trump campaign to turn out younger voters. And I would just say this, echoing what David said, which is you don't have to agree with the damn thing that he said, but he did it the way you're supposed to. He showed up and he debated people and he engaged them to their faces. He wasn't a keyboard warrior. He wasn't threatening people. That is how a civil society conducts itself. You go to places and you have debates on the issues of our day. And that's what he modeled. So any of his acolytes who are taking it a different direction, you're not honoring his legacy.
Wow. Wow. We have lost a giant. Oh my goodness. What's this? Tommy Robinson made a post that Charlie Kirk will be celebrated at their epic march on September 13th in London, expecting over 1 million people. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, indeed. That's cool. That is cool. And by the way, keep your eyes on Great Britain and France. There's some major things shaking loose over there. Those two glorious old countries aren't done yet. We have lost a giant. 31 years old. We have lost a giant. What was it that Harry Carey said about Stan Musial? We will never see his like again. And I think that where Charlie's concerned, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Pray for each other. Tell somebody you love them. Give them a hug like there's no tomorrow. Pray for our country. All those things, they ain't going to bring Charlie back. But maybe, just maybe, they'll help us figure out a way to go forward. You know, good point. That's a great point, sir. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring the train into the station. I'm going to be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. for Front Porch Brunch. Tonight, after I make a couple of phone calls when I leave here, I'm going to be on Mike Harlow's live stream. Mike messaged me last night, asked me if I'd be willing to come on, and I said absolutely. So give me about 15, 20 minutes, and then I will be on Mike Harlow's stream. So go check him out. If I could figure out how to raid from here, I'd do it. But give me about 15, 20 minutes. I'll be on Mike Harlow's live stream, and we'll be carrying on this conversation because I know Mike's got a lot to say about this. So hit the thumbs up, please. Well, hang on a second, dear. Can I direct you? Give me one moment. 1 second. I think I can do something about that. WWG1, raid me over there, brother. Hang on. Mike Harlow. Un momento, por favor. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Here is the link on the YouTube side, and here is the link on the Rumble side. That's to Mike's live stream. Like I said, give me about 15 to 20 minutes, and I will be over there, okay? Again, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your love to each other, to your host. Pray for each other. We will get through this thing. Anyway, see you guys over on Harlow's live stream. Love you guys. See you Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Take care of yourselves. I love you. We'll see you soon.